If you want to understand why one country has kept obesity under 5% while much of the developed world has climbed past 40%, don't look at their gyms. Don't look at calorie counting. Look at what's on their breakfast table every single morning. Japan has one of the lowest obesity rates in the world. The United States has one of the highest. That's nearly a tenfold difference. And here's what makes this even more surprising. They're not starving themselves. They're not tracking macros. They're not eliminating carbohydrates. They're not following restrictive diet trends. They're eating a specific combination of foods, foods that quietly reprogram how their bodies store fat, foods that reshape gut bacteria, foods that influence metabolism at the cellular level, foods that change how energy is burned and stored. And the one food at the center of all this? Most Westerners won't even touch it. Here's what most people believe about staying lean: eat less, move more, count calories, avoid carbs. But this advice doesn't explain what we see in Japan. Japanese populations consume carbohydrates daily. Rice with breakfast, rice with lunch, rice with dinner. Yet their visceral fat levels remain low. Their metabolic syndrome rates remain low. Their insulin resistance rates remain low. Their obesity rates remain among the lowest globally. The difference isn't how much they eat. It's what they eat alongside those carbohydrates. These foods send signals to your body. Signals that reduce fat storage. Signals that improve insulin sensitivity. Signals that increase fat oxidation. Signals that regulate appetite hormones. And most of these signals start in your gut. Let's look closer at that system. Think of your digestive system like a massive biological factory. Trillions of bacteria working continuously, processing nutrients, producing metabolites, sending signals to your brain. In a balanced system, this factory runs efficiently. Beneficial bacteria regulate hunger hormones. They reduce inflammation. They improve metabolic flexibility. They support fat burning. But in many modern diets, this factory becomes disrupted. Years of processed foods, refined sugars, low fiber intake, ultra-processed ingredients. These factors reduce beneficial bacteria. They increase inflammatory microbes. They shift metabolism toward fat storage. This imbalance affects appetite, insulin, and fat accumulation. And visceral fat is different from the fat you see. You can't pinch it, you can't easily measure it, but it wraps around organs, around your liver, around your pancreas, around your intestines. And this type of fat releases inflammatory compounds. These signals increase insulin resistance. They disrupt metabolism. They promote further fat storage. It becomes a cycle. More visceral fat, more inflammation, more insulin resistance, more fat accumulation. This is where the traditional Japanese diet becomes powerful. It's rich in fermented foods, rich in soluble fiber, rich in marine nutrients, rich in polyphenols. Together, these components reshape gut bacteria. They increase beneficial microbes and reduce inflammatory signaling. Let's see how. And population comparisons show a clear pattern. Countries eating more like Japan consistently show lower obesity rates, even when calorie intake is similar, even when carbohydrate intake is high. The difference is food composition. Specific foods that instruct your metabolism differently, foods that reduce visceral fat, foods that improve gut bacteria. And when eaten consistently, these foods create a metabolic shift, not through restriction, not through deprivation, but through biological signaling. So what exactly are these foods, and how do they reprogram fat storage? Let's break down the first mechanism. The first mechanism lies in the fermentation of soy. Miso and natto aren't just food. They are powerful metabolic regulators. Miso increases the production of short-chain fatty acids. These molecules signal your body to increase energy expenditure and stop storing excess fat. Natto goes even further. It contains Bacillus subtilis, which shifts your gut's bacterial ratio, favoring the microbes found in leaner populations. This shift instructs your liver to produce less fat and clear excess cholesterol, essentially browning your fat cells to burn energy as heat. At the same time, these foods strengthen your gut lining, preventing the systemic inflammation that drives insulin resistance and visceral fat gain. But there is one final piece of this metabolic puzzle: the prebiotic fuel that makes this whole system work. Let's head to the ocean. The final piece of Japan's metabolic puzzle comes from the sea. Seaweeds like kombu and wakame are packed with unique prebiotic fibers. Called fucoidans and alginates, these aren't just fiber. They are instructions for your gut. They specifically fuel beneficial bacteria like Akkermansia. But the ocean offers one more secret. Fucoxanthin. This carotenoid signals your white fat cells to brown, burning energy as heat rather than storing it. When you combine these marine nutrients with fermented soy and the right carbohydrates, you aren't just dieting. You are sending a coordinated biological signal. A signal to your body to remain lean, healthy, and metabolically flexible. It's not about restriction, it's about reprogramming. Start with the signals, and your biology will do the rest. Understanding the Japanese secret is the first step to your own metabolic shift. To understand why these foods work, you need to understand something most diet programs ignore completely. Your gut microbiome. Inside your digestive system lives a complex ecosystem. Trillions of bacteria, thousands of species, all interacting with everything you eat. Think of it like a factory. Each bacterial strain has a job. Some extract nutrients, some regulate appetite, some influence inflammation, some control fat storage. In a healthy system, this factory runs efficiently. Beneficial bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids. These compounds strengthen your gut barrier. They reduce inflammation. They improve insulin sensitivity. In the next part, we'll look at how these microbes signal your brain. But in many Western diets, this system becomes disrupted. Years of processed foods, low fiber intake, refined carbohydrates, artificial additives, these factors reduce beneficial bacteria and allow fat-storing bacteria to dominate. These microbes extract more calories from food. They increase inflammation. They promote fat storage. Especially visceral fat, this is the dangerous fat. It surrounds organs, liver, pancreas, intestines, and it releases inflammatory chemicals. These chemicals interfere with insulin signaling. They increase blood sugar. They slow fat burning. This creates a metabolic roadblock. In the next part, we'll see why the Japanese diet provides a unique solution to this problem. This is where the Japanese diet becomes powerful. It contains a high concentration of fermented foods, fermented soy, fermented vegetables, fermented pastes. These foods deliver live bacteria, not just nutrients, not just fiber, but actual microbial strains. And one food stands out above the rest. Natto. Natto is made from soybeans fermented with Bacillus subtilis. During fermentation, something remarkable happens. Anti-nutrients are broken down. Bioactive compounds increase. Beneficial bacteria multiply. In the next part, we'll dive into the metabolic effects of these specific strains. When consumed regularly, natto reshapes gut bacteria. It increases beneficial species. It reduces fat-promoting microbes. This shift affects metabolism directly. Studies show changes in bacterial ratios linked to obesity, specifically the balance between firmicutes and bacteroidetes. Higher firmicutes ratios are associated with weight gain. Higher bacteroidetes ratios are associated with leanness. Fermented soy foods help shift this balance toward the lean metabolic profile. This affects fat storage, especially visceral fat. Research has shown reductions in abdominal fat accumulation, improvements in lipid metabolism, decreased fat synthesis in the liver, and these effects increase with consistent intake. In the next part, we'll discuss why the Japanese tradition of daily consumption is the key, and these effects increase with consistent intake. Not from one serving, not from 1 week, but from daily consumption. This is how the Japanese traditionally eat it. Small portion, every morning, consistently. Over time, gut bacteria change. Inflammation decreases. Fat storage signals weaken, and metabolism begins to shift. This is the first mechanism, fermentation reshaping the gut microbiome. But this is only part of the story. In the next part, we'll activate something even more powerful, your body's internal fat-burning furnace. This furnace is known as brown adipose tissue, or brown fat. Unlike white fat, which stores excess calories, brown fat exists to burn them. It's packed with mitochondria, the power plants of your cells. These mitochondria contain a unique protein called UCP1. When activated, UCP1 acts like a molecular bypass. Instead of creating energy for the cell to use later, it dissipates that energy directly as heat. This process is called thermogenesis. Effectively, your body burns stored fat and blood sugar just to keep the furnace running. In a healthy metabolic state, this tissue is active and efficient, but high systemic inflammation can silence this tissue. By lowering inflammation through our gut health, we create the perfect environment for this furnace to ignite. In the final part, we'll see exactly how to flip the switch. To fully activate this internal furnace, we need to look at how the Japanese traditionally prepare and pair these foods. It starts with a simple ritual. Stirring natto at least 40 times increases the production of gamma polyglutamic acid. This creates the mucilage that helps stabilize blood sugar levels throughout the day. But the true activation comes from pairing it with matcha. The high concentration of EGCG in green tea directly upregulates the UCP1 protein we discussed. This creates a dual-action shield. Natto limits new fat storage, while the green tea synergy triggers your brown fat to burn existing stores for heat. The results are clear. Japan maintains one of the lowest obesity rates in the developed world. It's not about restriction, it's about biological cooperation. By supporting your microbiome and igniting your internal furnace, you can reclaim your metabolic health. Consistency is your most powerful tool. The second mechanism works completely differently. It doesn't start in the gut. It starts in your fat tissue. Most people think fat is passive, just stored energy, something your body accumulates. But your body actually has different types of fat: white fat and brown fat. White fat stores energy. Brown fat burns energy. White fat accumulates around the waist. Brown fat generates heat. And when brown fat is activated, your body begins burning stored fat. Not through exercise, not through restriction, but through thermogenesis. Thermogenesis is heat production. Your body burns calories to produce warmth. This process increases energy expenditure, even at rest. And one compound found in the traditional Japanese diet activates this system: EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, a polyphenol found in green tea, but not just any green tea. Matcha. Matcha is powdered tea. You consume the entire leaf. This delivers significantly higher levels of EGCG, along with caffeine, polyphenols, and additional bioactive compounds. Together, these compounds activate brown fat. They increase norepinephrine signaling and systemic communication. They stimulate thermogenesis. They enhance fat oxidation. This changes how your body uses energy. Instead of storing calories, your body burns them. Research has shown increases in energy expenditure, even without exercise. And these effects occur gradually with consistent intake. Not from one cup, not from one day, but from daily consumption. Matcha is powdered tea. You consume the entire leaf. This delivers significantly higher levels of EGCG, along with caffeine, polyphenols, and additional bioactive compounds. Together, these compounds activate brown fat. They increase norepinephrine signaling and systemic communication. They stimulate thermogenesis. They enhance fat oxidation. This changes how your body uses energy. Instead of storing calories, your body burns them. Research has shown increases in energy expenditure, even without exercise. And these effects occur gradually with consistent intake. Not from one cup, not from one day, but from daily consumption. This is how matcha is traditionally used. Morning, sometimes afternoon, never boiling water. Temperature matters. High heat can degrade polyphenols. Lower temperatures preserve EGCG. Another factor is absorption. Certain combinations increase bioavailability. For example, vitamin C. Adding lemon improves EGCG stability. This allows more active compounds to enter circulation. Once absorbed, EGCG influences fat tissue. Matcha is powdered tea. You consume the entire leaf. This delivers significantly higher levels of EGCG, along with caffeine, polyphenols, and additional bioactive compounds. Together, these compounds activate brown fat. They increase norepinephrine signaling and systemic communication. They stimulate thermogenesis. They enhance fat oxidation. This changes how your body uses energy. Instead of storing calories, your body burns them. Research has shown increases in energy expenditure, even without exercise. And these effects occur gradually with consistent intake. Not from one cup, not from one day, but from daily consumption. This is how matcha is traditionally used. Morning, sometimes afternoon. Never boiling water. Temperature matters. High heat can degrade polyphenols. Lower temperatures preserve EGCG. Another factor is absorption. Certain combinations increase bioavailability. For example, vitamin C. Adding lemon improves EGCG stability. This allows more active compounds to enter circulation. Once absorbed, EGCG influences fat tissue. Once absorbed, EGCG influences fat tissue. It activates UCP1, uncoupling protein. 1. This protein turns brown fat on. When UCP1 is active, fat is burned to generate heat. Stored energy becomes fuel. This increases fat oxidation, reduces fat storage, improves metabolic flexibility. And when combined with fermented foods, these effects compound. The gut microbiome improves, fat burning increases. Together, these changes shift metabolism, not through calorie restriction, but through biological signaling. This is why Japanese dietary patterns produce different metabolic outcomes. Energy intake remains stable, but energy expenditure increases. This is the second mechanism, activation of brown fat through matcha and EGCG. But there is still one more mechanism, and it affects hunger itself. The third mechanism is perhaps the most powerful. It doesn't just burn energy, it controls your desire for it. Hunger is not a choice. It's a biological signal. Two main hormones drive this: ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. It's produced in the stomach, sending signals to your brain to eat. Leptin is the satiety hormone. It is produced by fat cells to tell your brain you are full. But modern diets high in processed sugars create a problem: leptin resistance. Your brain stops hearing the signal. You eat, but you never feel truly full. This biological mismatch is why willpower often fails. But by reducing inflammation, we can restore these signals. We can make hunger a choice again. Next, we look at a traditional physical tool to help fix this biological wall: the secret of konjac. The third mechanism is perhaps the most powerful. It doesn't just burn energy, it controls your desire for it. Hunger is not a choice, it's a biological signal. Two main hormones drive this: ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. It's produced in the stomach, sending signals to your brain to eat. Leptin is the satiety hormone. It is produced by fat cells to tell your brain you are full. But modern diets high in processed sugars create a problem: leptin resistance. Your brain stops hearing the signal. You eat, but you never feel truly full. This biological mismatch is why willpower often fails. But by reducing inflammation, we can restore these signals. We can make hunger a choice again. Next, we look at a traditional physical tool to help fix this biological wall: the secret of konjac. There's a physical tool used for centuries in Japan to manage hunger: konjac, known as the broom of the stomach. Konjac is a root vegetable, but its power lies in its fiber, glucomannan. When consumed, glucomannan absorbs water and expands in the stomach. This creates a physical sense of fullness. It slows down gastric emptying. It keeps you full for longer periods. But it does something else. It stabilizes insulin levels by slowing down the absorption of carbohydrates. It prevents sugar spikes. No spikes means no crashes. No crashes means no sudden hunger. This is the physical counterpart to the hormonal signals, a simple route that acts as a biological wall against overeating. Finally, we look at the sensory side of metabolic health. The fifth taste, umami. In Japanese, it means delicious, savory taste. Found in broth, fermented foods, and green tea, umami signals to the brain that the body has received protein and nutrients. This sensory satisfaction shuts down the search for more food. It completes the biological journey. We have seen the gut microbiome, the activation of brown fat, and the biological control of hunger. Metabolic health is not about fighting your body. It is about using biological signaling to work with it. This was our biological journey: sustainable, scientific, and rooted in tradition. Thank you for following. The third mechanism is less obvious, but just as powerful. It doesn't directly activate fat burning, it changes hunger. And when hunger changes, everything else follows. The traditional Japanese diet is naturally high in fiber, but not just any fiber: soluble fiber, fermented fiber, marine fiber, prebiotic fiber. These fibers feed beneficial gut bacteria. When these bacteria ferment fiber, they produce short-chain fatty acids. One of the most important is butyrate. Butyrate strengthens the intestinal barrier. It reduces inflammation. It improves insulin sensitivity. Short-chain fatty acids signal the brain. They increase satiety hormones. They reduce hunger signals. You feel satisfied sooner. You eat less naturally, not through restriction, but through biology. This is why traditional Japanese meals tend to control portions automatically. Meals are structured differently. Smaller dishes, multiple components, balanced composition: soup, vegetables, protein, rice. This combination increases fiber density, slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and prevents large insulin spikes. Stable blood sugar reduces hunger. Reduced hunger lowers calorie intake without conscious effort. Seaweed plays an important role here. Seaweed contains unique fibers. Fibers rarely found in Western diets. These compounds feed beneficial bacteria. They improve gut diversity. They support fat metabolism. Seaweed also contains fucoxanthin, a compound studied for visceral fat reduction. Fucoxanthin increases fat oxidation. It may also influence thermogenesis. This creates another layer of metabolic support. Root vegetables also contribute. Barley, fermented vegetables. These foods provide both soluble and insoluble fiber. Together they slow digestion, improve satiety, reduce overeating. This is the fiber satiety pathway. Not dramatic, not immediate, but powerful over time. And when combined with the first two mechanisms, the effects multiply. Fermented foods reshape gut bacteria. Matcha activates brown fat. Fiber reduces hunger. 3 separate pathways working together. This creates a metabolic environment that favors fat burning instead of fat storage. And this isn't just theoretical. Population data supports it. Higher fiber intake correlates with lower BMI, lower triglycerides, lower fasting glucose, lower inflammation markers, even when calorie intake is similar. This suggests food composition matters as much as quantity. And this is exactly what we see in Japan. Now that we understand the mechanisms, let's look at the specific foods of this metabolic protocol. These aren't just ingredients, they are biological tools. First, natto. This fermented soybean is a nutritional powerhouse. It's rich in vitamin K2 and nattokinase, supporting both heart and gut health. Miso is another essential. This fermented paste provides live enzymes and probiotics that strengthen the intestinal barrier we discussed earlier. Next, the seaweeds. Nori for your snacks, wakame in your soups, and hijiki in your salads. Each provides unique fibers that Western diets lack. The goal isn't to change your entire diet overnight. It's about strategic inclusion, adding one small dish of these metabolic tools to each meal. Include daikon and purple sweet potatoes. These root vegetables provide the bulk of the fiber satiety pathway, keeping you full for hours. Swap white rice for barley or brown rice occasionally. This simple switch significantly lowers the glycemic index of your entire meal. Start with these basics. In the next part, I'll show you exactly how to order these foods for maximum blood sugar control. It's not just about what you eat, it's about the order in which you eat it. This is called food sequencing, and it's a game changer for metabolic health. By changing the sequence, you can flatten your glucose curve significantly, even when eating the same amount of carbohydrates. The rule is simple. Fiber first. Start your meal with those root vegetables, seaweed, or a side of fermented greens. Next, move to your protein and fats. This creates a physical buffer in your stomach that slows down the absorption of sugars. Finally, eat your carbohydrates. By the time the glucose from the rice hits your system, the fiber and protein have already prepared your body. This sequence slows down gastric emptying. It prevents the rapid insulin spikes that trigger hunger and fat storage. You'll find that you feel satisfied with smaller portions, and those post-meal energy crashes simply disappear. Try this today. In the next part, we'll explore metabolic drinks like matcha that further enhance this fat-burning environment. Beyond solid food, what you drink can further enhance your metabolic environment. 2 staples in the Japanese protocol are matcha and rice vinegar. Matcha is rich in catechins, specifically EGCG. These compounds activate brown fat and increase fat oxidation through thermogenesis. Rice vinegar contains acetic acid. When taken before or during a meal, it improves insulin sensitivity and reduces the glycemic response. But perhaps the most powerful lifestyle habit is hara hachi bu. This ancient Japanese wisdom teaches us to eat until we are 80% full. It takes about 20 minutes for your brain to receive the signal that your stomach is full. By stopping early, you avoid the metabolic stress of overeating. This practice aligns your conscious choices with your biology. It reduces the total calorie load without the feeling of deprivation. These lifestyle tools bridge the gap between technical nutrition and daily living. They make fat burning a consistent reality. In our final part, I will give you the exact 14-day reset plan to integrate everything we've learned. See you there. We've covered the mechanics, the foods, and the timing. Now, let's put it all together into a simple 14-day reset plan. For the next 2 weeks, focus on 3 pillars: Protein priority, consistent hydration, and the 20-minute rule for every single meal. Integrate one fermented food and one seaweed variety daily. Follow the fiber first sequence to flatten your glucose curve automatically. Consistency is more important than perfection. If you miss a step, just return to the protocol at your next meal. Your biology is resilient. You will start to notice stable energy levels, reduced cravings, and a natural shift in your body composition within days. This isn't a diet. It's a return to biological alignment. By respecting your metabolism, you are investing in long-term health and longevity. Start your reset today and listen to what your body tells you. Thank you for following this metabolic journey.